Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alvin. I'm a part-time eBay seller here in Singapore, and today we are going to go through in detail what I actually said in my last video talking about how I actually ship from Singapore. This video primarily will only work if you are actually a Singapore-based seller selling internationally, and for that reason, if you are a non-Singapore-based seller, I do apologize, but if you find it useful that you are based in Singapore and you find some value in it, stick around. From my last video, if you are still unaware what I actually said, I'm going to go through in depth the Singpost registered mail, speed post, priority for large items, the e-pack service that some of the companies that actually offer that latches on Singpost, and of course the various courier services, which is your others lah, that's non-postal office related. Let's jump into my newly set up workstation that I'm going to detail for you what I actually said in my last video. So let's go. For Singapore sellers like myself, because in Singapore, if you want to do local, there's so many other avenues to send to. But if you're selling internationally and you wish to ship out your parcel, you do need to realize that there's Singpost here, which is the primary local post office who ships locally and internationally. But as I mentioned to all of you and done a video about this, that Singpost uses registered mail. Registered mail, the tracking does not really work. As in some other countries, the tracking for registered mail does not work. Those countries include USA, Canada, Australia, I'll call it Aussie lah, and a few others. But these are the main countries that primarily registered mail does not work, because the last mile tracking is non-existent. I've done a video on this. You can have a look over here. I've done a video. You can click on this link. And the fact that it does not work. So all this is not available to you. However, there is another service that you can use, which is the e-pack service. E-pack is under Singpost, but this is not available to consumers. So basically, if you go to Singpost directly and ask for the e-pack service, you will not get it. Okay? So right now, the e-pack service is available from, on top of my head, is Q Express and Postal Connect. Postal Connect is talked about, which is a recent service that a company that I'm using. Q Express I'm also using. I've done a video of this. You can also click on this video that I talk about Q Express and of course the Postal Connect on why it works. And the e-pack service, this e-pack service will have a tracking number for US, Canada, and Australia. USA, Canada, and Australia. Aussie lah, I'll put it. These work for e-pack. The e-pack service actually works. The last one that we have, like we talk about Singpost directly, we talk about e-pack also, and then we also talk about the courier service. Courier service isn't Singpost. Singpost is just a postal service. Courier service can include your FedEx, your UPS, your TNT, and Aramex, and etc. etc. You can think of any of them that is not your local post office, it works. For now, Aramex links with eBay. They are actually linked with the C-Pass on eBay. So that's the reason why I'm talking about Aramex in my last video. Again, link down below. These three, we will talk about them individually. And I will go through them one by one. Okay, I'll use the one in red for Singpost because again, in red, Singpost technically you shouldn't be using if you're residing in Singapore and you're selling online. Okay, Singpost, when you send through Singpost, it goes by registered mail or their priority speed post. These two, I've talked about it in my last video that the tracking number just don't work. Why? Because the US, Aussie, Australia, and Canada, etc. They apparently they are not. Singpost is not paying them to use the tracking service. They refuse to latch the registered mail and the priority post the tracking on to their local post office. USA will be USPS, Australia is the Aussie Post, Canada is Canada Post, and so on and so forth. These are the main countries that you're actually selling to when you're doing on eBay, which I primarily sell to. If you're doing on Etsy and online platforms that you're selling on, mainly you're selling to USA, you're selling to Australia, you're selling to Canada, and so on and so forth. Then that's the reason why you shouldn't be using registered mail. It does not work at all. For priority speed post, this one also the tracking number for last mile. When I talk about last mile means the end delivery. It doesn't really work also because the delivery is going through DHL. If I'm not wrong, this comes down to DHL. DHL, the tracking number is not tagged to this tracking number that you find from Singpost. That's the problem here. So, as with all reasoning, you shouldn't be using Singpost at all. Okay? We kind of need to talk about why in the first place it matters because tracking in eBay and I believe all other online platforms, be it Etsy and etc. I mean, you can take your own poison about it. All these companies, they actually need your tracking to show delivered. It needs to show delivery. If it's not delivered, this one will be delivery, then there's nothing to prove. And if there's any dispute, this you will lose your case because it does not show delivery. But for if you got a dispute, meaning the bugger who or the buyer or whoever is that the punk who wants to say that he did not really receive the parcel, this dispute you will win the case because it shows delivery. Hope this makes sense. Because you do need to show that the tracking shows delivery. That's the reason why you shouldn't use Singpost, but you can use ePack because ePack does the delivery for it. For ePack, it will always show delivery. Why? It's because the tracking will work on USPS, Australia Post, and Canada Post, etc. Okay, so ePack, the tracking is safe. Got it? So that's why we will always go by e-pack service here in Singapore if you're selling online internationally. As for me, I'm selling online, you need to show that it works. The tracking shows delivery, and then it's safe, because then it's safe to use because the tracking shows delivery. So it's safe. It's a big roundabout. Got it? Last but not least, courier services. You got your UPS, got your Aeromax, you got your FedEx, you got your, what's that, DHL, and etc. All these, firstly, they're expensive. They are super expensive versus Singpost or even e-pack. Then, you can't send to a PO box. It's not possible because they need signature. Okay? Because they need a signature. So that's why you can't send PO box addresses, which I've sent to quite a few. Bear in mind that PO box, when it's delivered to a PO box, it does not actually show delivery. The customer can still dispute it, but normally the buyers are okay. I've done quite a few PO box addresses and they're still fine. You might lose some sales because you not show PO box. You don't send to PO box. So this one works. This one you need to bear in mind. That's a list of problems, but the main thing is it's expensive. The other reason why is if it reaches the country, they might be tagged additional custom duties and handling charges. Pretty insane, because I've had a customer from China. I thought it would be quite easy peasy because I've sent to China before through e-pack and Singpost registered mail. It's still okay, but for whatever, Aeromax asked him for the charges. So that's the reason why you might be aware, might need to be aware that some places that's suburban, which you won't be aware of because you don't know. You see the address, you might not even know, because in Singapore every is a city state. So that's the reason why you might not be aware. So the charges can be quite high for them, and they might not even pay for it, and then it gets back to you, and then you have to pay the charges for the return delivery. So that's the reason why this, you might think twice on using it. I've used it before, so that's why I think it is worthwhile to mention that courier services is an option, provided that you can withstand the fact that it is expensive, and you might be also tagged to the fact that the buyer might not even receive or wish not to pay for the custom duties, additional ones, because it's high for them, the charges, because it's based off the amount they paid for it. So you might be aware of that. All right, hopefully that explains what I actually said in my last video. The last video was kind of a summary. This is more in-depth. And if there's any comments, any queries that you still can't figure out how to ship from Singapore, again, this is a video all about how I ship my items from Singapore, selling internationally across the world. Comment below. I'll try and answer your queries. Again, the fact is, it's not easy. There's a learning curve to it. Take your time if you are new to this. And if you're a seasoned seller, hopefully you can have some, takeaways from this. And then comment below if you find this video useful. Is there anything that you want to add on? Just comment. Like this video if you find it useful. Comment below and maybe subscribe to my channel. See me, sell down my collection, buy and sell stuff. I'm all for it. For the fact that you guys are here for me, and I'll be here for you. Take care everyone. I'll see you when I see you. Bye bye.